Blog Talk Radio.
Back to step one we are, aren't we? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
Tell me, baby, is it a mistake? I've been giving more than I take. Do you ever miss me when I'm gone? I need to know. If you don't let me go, what do I mean to you? Make you do the things you do. What does it signify? Where am I? And I keep forgetting me. There's no immunity from love I can't deny. Where am I? Am I the one for you? Will I grow old with you? Am I irreplaceable? When you look into my eyes, what do you see? Making up that you don't really care. Playing with my mind is unfair. I wanna hear you tell me that I'm wrong. I need to know. If you feel love, let it show. What do I mean to you? Make you do the things you do. What does it signify? Where am I? And I keep forgetting me. There's no immunity from love I can't deny. Where am I? Am I the one for you? Will I grow old with you? Am I irreplaceable? When you look into my eyes, what do you see? I really need to know just where I stand. Do you even know? Give it to me straight. I don't wanna fake. I don't wanna hurt no more. Am I the one for you? Will I grow old with you? Am I irreplaceable? When you look into my eyes, what do you see? Am I the one for you? Will I grow old with you? Am I irreplaceable? When you look into my eyes, what do you see? So maybe you can come up with something. Calvin. See my money green, red, and blue. What about you? From my city to New York. Big city of dreams, but don't sleep off. I ain't in it for the fame, but you gon' know my name. And I ain't in it for the change. I like big bills and that president.
Pianos play on the key of life. As I dabble in these streets with a key of white. 20/20 tunnel vision, I can see the light. Hoping that my God-given talent help me lead a life. Shit's real, I don't even write. This is more like a letter, you can read the kite. For every inmate locked down and can't breathe at night, I'm blessed. Front row, Barclays, I can see the fight. I'm running wild though, I had to stop. CNC gun boys at a traffic stop. Thank God, stash box where I had the Glock. Still afraid of heights, but somehow now I'm at the top. You see, I spit it for the culture. Surrounded by the fakes in the industry with vultures. Bad to inch you closer, fine china. Sipping $1,000 champagne glass with the coasters. out of town when I hit the road and see my face on every flyer at a different show. Real talk, real talk. One day you'll get it though.
My money green, red, and blue. What about you, From my city to T.O. to New York. Big city to dreams, but don't sleepwalk. I ain't in it for the fame, but you gon' know my name. I ain't in it for the change. I like big bills. I know you never heard my name or seen me before. New kid on the block, new kid on the block, and I ain't in it for the fame. Sweet melodies and dollar bills, yeah, sweet melodies and dollar bills. That precedent.
First class about to board a flight. Long days, even longer nights. My ex sent the text, said she wanted Vice. It ain't the only thing she wanted, right? Nah, I'm good, ma, I keep my mind clear. It's like they want a nigga back, cause my time's near. Every label hear me rap and tell me sign ahead. Still moving packs about the trap until I'm signed, yeah. You see this game's an addiction, pain and affliction for fame, but it's sickening. Ironic how these dollars make change in the system, cause that could've been me, box laid out in prison. Nah, God bless. Good lawyer cause I'm court bound. They got me channeling my thoughts now. Reminiscing back then we was all down. Now the love's lost and we all on our own. Wow. I just do it so my mama smiles, and I work even harder so my mama's proud, and that's evident. I'm killing them, no evidence, no evidence. Brooklyn's mine, dead presidents. Yeah.
I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. Presidents to represent me. Presidents to represent me.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the one and only Missy Jones on the Move Unscripted on Purpose, where conversations can go as planned or off script. So if you're tuned in and ready to get your talk on with your girls, feel free to call in and voice your opinion at 516-387-1247, or sit back and enjoy the conversation. And remember, we are here every Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're ready to get your talk on and your groove on with your girls, join in the conversation or sit back and listen while we're talking on the Move Unscripted on Purpose.
What's going on? You have tuned in episode of On the Move Unscripted on Purpose, Ladies Roundtable Discussion. And of course, I got my girls with me. We actually are going to continue with the conversation that we had last week. But before we do anything, we have to do what is tradition. So I have to go to my girls. I have to see how they week was. So let me start with the first one. First number, first queen that I see is Kimberly McCants. What's going on, Kimberly McCants? Kimberly McCants, Queen Goddess King Advocate.
Yes, ma'am, in the building.
How was your week?
You know what? I don't even remember. so it was like that. I don't. It wasn't really eventful. It wasn't a whole lot going on. Like I did a lot of just chilling, like I always do. I do what I normally do, but nothing big yet. But Saturday is my Earth Day. So we'll see if that changes.
Birthday girl.
Yeah. Let's see if it changes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad you had an uneventful. Huh?
Yeah. I said, even if I don't do anything like party or anything on my birthday, I'm just, grateful to see it. So.
You're not supposed to ask a woman her age, right? I'm not supposed to ask you, like, how old you turn. or nothing like that?
I'm 49, boo. I don't have any problem. I'm waiting to be able to say I'm 50. Thank you, babe. I'm waiting for the 50. I'm waiting to say I'm 50.
Well, enjoy the 49 first.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm glad you had a good week.
Indeed.
So we're going to slide on down to the next person on the list, which I do believe that's R. Marie. Is that R. Marie in the house?
What? I'm within the first two or three.
Yeah, I can't take it. I couldn't believe it either. I had to wipe my eyes. That's why I stuttered.
I had a beautiful week, ladies. You know, when the sun starts shining, you know, the whole attitude change. And so, I mean, I didn't have a bad attitude, but it's cold, it's cloudy, it's ugh. You know, I'm a little gloomy. And so the sun was out, and I have truly enjoyed a beautiful week. I'm healthy. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. That's it for me.
Okay.
All right, then. Well, short and sweet this week. All right, then. Well, I'm glad you had a beautiful week, R. Marie. Okay, and then the next one on our line, down the line, is I believe that these two numbers always get me mixed up. Is that Misty or is that Deshaun? Which one is it? Is it Deshaun?
Well, I can just come on and say it's DJ in the house. What's up with What's up to my ladies, my beautiful girls? What's happening? Hi.
What's up, DJ?
Well, I'm just in a good.
So, how was your week?
Well, my week was good. It was good. It was productive. I'm getting tasks done. I enjoy conversations with my family, my girls. I'm healthy. Really was doing a lot of spiritual meditation and worshiping. So that was wonderful. So my week was good, and I'm really blessed and just joyful for what's coming.
Yes, indeed.
And you got your casting call.
Personal and business, huh?
When's your casting for the?
Oh,
huh?
Yeah, the casting call. Yes, I'm planning for that. So the casting call for female cancer survivors is this Saturday at 11 o'clock. So if you're in the Columbus area, if you're a female cancer survivor, come out to the casting call.
Okay. DJ, what is the casting call for?
A celebratory fashion show. You will be honored at our women's benefit luncheon in July.
Okay, and where is this at? Where is this?
Okay, so it's here, Columbus, Ohio, at the Confluence Park, formerly known as the Boathouse. So it's downtown off of Spring Street. A very beautiful location. We've had it there for the last three years. Huh? It's a hybrid event. The time is on a Sunday. It's on a Sunday, July 11th. It's still being confirmed, but on a Sunday, July 11th, starting at 1 to 3. So it's a hybrid event. So you're able to come out if you want, and enjoy the experience of the vendors, the health and wellness vendors. We have awesome retail vendors, or you can opt to do it virtual. So looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. It's the really focused. The educational piece is going to surround about survivorship. You know, the whole journey of getting. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm like, but what time is that event on the casting call on Saturday?
Oh, on Saturday. So the casting call starts at 11. So it's from 11 to 2. And if you're interested, you must register. There's no cost for this. So register on our website, and It's www.attrinc.org. And you'll see it on the front page. Scroll down, and you'll see casting call, and you can make your reservation. Due to COVID, there will be time slots.
Okay.
But, we're excited. We are excited. So pass the word on. Everybody knows someone that's been affected by, cancer. Someone knows a cancer survivor. So if it's not you, if you could share it, that would be great. It's such a wonderful event, and this year I feel it's just going to be explosive. So hopefully I have some of my girls there. Kimberly.
Marie, you probably have some.
Yes. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what Kim will be doing by July?
Deshaun, let me say this to Marie. Marie, because she's in the field, she's still working with different agencies and stuff like that. So, Marie, do you think you could pass the word along to your agencies or whatever for any of their patients that they may have?
All I could do is text it and email them. I don't know how much they would be able to help at such short notice. I'm like, well, how did I?
No, not so much to help, but to see if any of their patients or previous patients who may, have had cancer or whatever, just put the word out, because sometimes that's what they need is a little something extra sometimes, So I'm talking more as far as anybody that may an old patient of yours or something like that may be interested in, doing something different.
Okay.
Or getting out there.
Really with the time frame, I do get, it's short notice, but once they sign up in email, they don't have to come out Saturday. They can do it virtually as well. So if there's someone that really wants to participate, if they can't make it out on Saturday, they can submit it virtually. But the important thing is just to register, so get it out. So maybe when you share it, you just communicate, register. But it is a hybrid event as well. So some people will come in and some will do their walk virtually right there, or they'll either submit a short video. But any help would be awesome, awesome. So thank you for the platform. Thank you, my girls, for sharing. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. Always and forever. That's really what it's for. We like to have our conversations, but each one of us, as I always say, have something that we're doing or we're into or whatever. So I like to be able to use this platform not just, for our discussions, but also to talk about or promote things that we got going on in our own lives, because we don't know who's listening at any particular time. So I, too, had a good week. I'm really excited. I'm like him. My birthday was last week, y'all know. I gambled. I lost. That's what I get for bragging ahead of time. I always win on my birthday, and I ain't win nothing. Kenny won off back on my
Where'd you go to the
really
casino? Did you go to the casino?
Yeah, I went to some little spot.
Patricia?
I went to some little spot.
Okay.
I don't know. But I ain't win no money. Let's just put it like that. But I'm excited because it's been a good week for me. I've had a good week. And I'm excited because tomorrow starts the beginning of my own campaign for my music. I have a song that's going to be released called Long Journey Home that I did through Coast to Coast. And then on Saturday, on Kim's birthday, my music is going to be broadcast out to internationally. Superwoman Remix is about to go through the Indie Network, which has a really big platform, and it goes out to FM stations and satellite TV stations and all kind of stuff. So that's exciting to me because it's been a long journey with my music.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's a big deal.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Celebrate. That's an excellent way to end celebrating your birthday month.
You feel what I'm saying? I had to do that and stuff we're gonna do my birthday. We're gonna do, but that was the bomb. Yeah, that's the bomb. I can't even because I've been doing this music thing for a long time, and when I first got started, I got nothing but backlash and are you for real, or what makes you think you could do? I got a lot of negativity because I ain't no young chicken, or whatever. So I got a lot of backlash from a lot of people, but I continue to move forward in spite of that, and I've been doing my thing, and I've been getting a lot of good feedback from my music. Like, people like my music, they like what I sing about, so that it makes me feel good. So yeah, I am happy. I am.
Well, congratulations.
Indeed.
Thank you so very much.
We're proud of you.
Thank you so very much.
Patricia, you know how on the radio stations you can hear the hand clap. See, we need a pause.
You know what?
We can do it ourselves.
On Spreaker, they have that. Oh, they have that on Spreaker, but here they don't have it on Blog Talk.
Okay.
They have Spreaker. Yeah.
So guess what? We can just do it ourselves. How about that? Let's give her a round of applause together right now. Let's do it.
I thank you so much.
I mean more anyway.
So, for any international listeners, because we have a lot of listeners that are outside of the United States. So for any international listeners or whatever, you can go to my music page, which is N as in Nancy, the number 1, M as in Mary.com / my name, Patricia M. Goins. Make sure you put that M in between that Patricia and that Goins, or it ain't going to pull up. So it's n1m.com / Patricia M. Goins. And you can listen to some of my old tracks. Me and Mr. Stout, me and Kenny, we just laid us a quick song out. I'm like, I'm having fun doing something that I always love to do, but I was so afraid as a child because, I remember singing one time in the house and somebody was like, whoever's singing need to shut up. And I think that affected me because for a long time I would just sing to myself. Or I would sing real low, or I'd sing in the bathroom. So this is a big, and I was stage fright for many years. So this is a big step for me, so. Thank you.
Well, awesome.
We got you back there. We support you.
Yeah. So last week, we ended the show, and we were talking about generational curses. And we really didn't start getting into it. Huh?
I'm sorry, I was asking
we didn't start getting into the topic until towards the end of the show, and so we wanted to actually continue on with that. So for any caller, any listeners who may be listening right now, and you want to join in on our conversation, the number is 516-387-1247. So after. Excuse me, let me say it again, 516-387-1247. I don't know why now I all of a sudden want to call. Somebody unstable for a second, please.
Somebody what now?
I guess they didn't hear that. Never mind, they didn't take over. So, I watched, is it pronounced Iyanla Vanzant? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, Iyanla. Yeah, Iyanla Vanzant.
Okay. So I don't always watch her shows, but last week I watched one. It was about a mother and her 6 kids, her 6 daughters. And I had to start coughing right when I was about to get this, but it was it was a deep show. It was very, it was deep because the mother, all the daughters were angry at her, except for the last one. The baby girl wasn't angry at her because the baby girl had been with, other than her little tongue. The baby girl had spent like some years in prison for, I don't know, burglary or something. But all her growing up life, she had been with her mother, so she wasn't angry with her mother. But her other 5 siblings were. All the girls were, except for the baby girl, was mad at the mom. The one of the daughters, she had given up for adoption. And I could tell from looking at that daughter's face that she had went through something in her life. You could just see it all on her. That energy thing, Kim, that we be talking about. You could just see it all on her.
Right.
The other daughters, the oldest daughter, just had she really didn't want to be there. She made it obvious she didn't want to be there. She didn't hold back, and she didn't really have nothing to say to her mom. It was just like the tension was crazy. When the mother came, the mother talked to Iyanla, and she explained to Iyanla, because the oldest daughter said she wasn't never there, and that she basically had to raise her other two siblings on her own. The other daughter was like, why you keep them and give me away? And then, it was like everybody had their issues except for the baby girl. So Iyanla got a chance to speak to the mom, and come to find out that the mother, the mother's mother, she didn't grow up with her mom either. The mother didn't grow up with her mother, and kind of find out the grandmother, didn't grow up with her mother. So that means that was great grandmother and grandmother didn't have a relationship, and then grandmother and mother didn't have a relationship. So now mother and daughters don't have a relationship. It was like you could tell it was a generational thing. And then kind of find out the mother had been, the oldest daughter was good friends with a family member, one of the uncle or something, and kind of find out the uncle's family is who the mother had given the baby girl to for adoption. But that same uncle had molested the mother, and they come find out he had molested the daughter. But nobody knew about it, so the oldest daughter and the uncle was close, because they didn't. Girl, when I say that show had me in my freaking emotions, like it took me back. It took me back to it. Literally, I almost felt like it pushed me back to my childhood, and it pushed me back to what I went through growing up, and it just brought me to tears. And then it made me think about my daughter and going through my trials and tribulations and things and moving around or whatever, maybe the trauma or things that my daughter had gone through, or maybe she, because we had a very turbulent summer, me and my daughter, and so it made it started a discussion between me and her, because I'm like, this is generational. You know what I'm saying? This is so generational. Like, and so I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to come back and really talk about this topic, because one of the callers last week, Paul, I think it was saying
Patrick,
that he wanted to understand, Patrick said he wanted to understand, is this really something that has been going on? Because the women that he's dated, or people that he knows who's dated women, they all have that common denominator, that a lot of them grew up and experienced molestation. And I would say that if you talk to 10 women of different nationalities, whatever, 10 women, you're going to find, definitely in the African American community, you're going to find that at least half, if not more than half, have the same story. Right. So I'm glad we came back to the subject.
Indeed. I hope he calls back tonight.
Right. Because,
one thing that I would like to.
I'm sorry, y'all supposed to keep trying to. Man, go ready, set, Sean.
What? No, I was going to say one thing I would like to just throw out there as a sermon to really, really watch if you want to understand spiritually the generational curses on families and even places, because generational curses can be in locations as well. But Bishop T.D. Jakes, and you can pull it up on YouTube, it's called Spellbreaker. And when in your spare time, I would listen to it. That's it.
It's called
about that.
It's called Spellbreaker.
It's called Spellbreaker, and I mean he breaks it down. He breaks it down.
Oh, wow.
It's a two-part series, I believe. But remember Bishop Eddie Long? He passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that church is in Atlanta. I believe that's in Atlanta. That church.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he was there preaching. He was actually there at his church preaching. What's fine? Yeah. It's called Spellbreaker.
Oh, he was at New
Oh
Birth?
my goodness.
That was New Birth.
Mm.
Oh. Eddie Long's church called New Birth.
New Birth.
Oh, okay.
It was called New Birth.
Okay.
I'm a member there. It's called New Birth. New Birth.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's called a Spell Breaker, and it's his message is just that about generational curses and how they can be broken.
So what are some things that he said, Deshaun? Did you listen to the sermon?
Okay. I've listened to it multiple times, and it's so much information that if I'll miss parts, you really need to watch it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If I start throwing in bits and pieces, you'll miss. I know I'm not going to. It's something that you need to receive. Put it like that. It's something you need to receive.
I remember last week, Misty, and I think more than just Misty. It was more than Misty. It was Misty and maybe Dr. Storm. I remember them saying that one of the things that they were told is you don't tell what's going on in this house. You don't talk. What happens in the home stays in the home. But the problem is that, huh?
No, I said in his message he talks about that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just blurted it out. But what you're talking about in the message, he talks about that.
Okay. Yeah, because it's the truth. Like, we're if we're talking generational type stuff, we grew up hearing that. You know, you don't talk about what's going on in the home. Mm-hmm. However, the problem is these child molesters have been circulating in the family for years and years and years, and nobody's talking. Everybody acting like it ain't happened. Everybody acted as if it didn't happen. Nobody wanted to talk about it, so it was continuing to happen, not really realizing that it was becoming its own little epidemic within the community, as far as young girls and women. Like, that's serious, and a lot of men may not understand why women come in with this emotional baggage or these images, these issues. You know what I'm saying? Or these not trusting, distrust of the man or whatever. It's because her first experiences with the man was with somebody that she trusted that violated her. You understand what I'm saying? Am I saying it right, Kim? Am I saying it in a way that y'all understand what I'm saying?
Say the last part of it again.
A lot of women who have been. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I breaking up? Okay. A lot of women who have been molested by a family friend, family member, whatever, as young girls or whatever, when they get into relationships with men, a lot of times there's that instant distrust. Before they even give the man an opportunity, they're already going into it not really trusting them, because their first experience with a man in that kind of way was with someone that they trusted who violated them.
Right. Absolutely. Also, sometimes what will happen in a matter of emotional defense is that instead of, even though she still doesn't trust him, she will not fight and just submit herself voluntarily in order to prevent anything from being taken from her. So it's like a flip of control. And I can see I can be transparent, but it's not
hold on for a
to the.
Let me just say this. I don't mean to interrupt you. If everybody who's not talking, put your phone on mute so that we can. So I hear some banging or something in the background, and I want to be able to hear what you're saying. So say it again. I'm sorry.
I'll say I'm going to be a little transparent, but it's not to the extent that other people have experienced. It's never been anything going on in my childhood, but as an adult, some things have been attempted with me sexually, and instead of allowing myself, and this sounds real messed up, but it is what it is. Instead of allowing myself to become, quote unquote, victimized by a force, my mind went into flip mode, and I became the aggressor because that was my defense. Oh, you trying to take it from me? No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to take nothing from me, so guess what I'm about to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was flip mode. So in that moment, it was me, taking control or whatever. I was still in defense mode, but I wasn't going to let nobody take it from me. Either way, the outcome was basically the same. But how I processed it, it was for my defense. So I said that to say that a lot of times women who have gone through that type of experience as, young girls, instead of being a victim in their mind and having it taken from them, they volunteer it because it's more of a control on their part. They figure, well, you're gonna get it anyway. You're gonna try to come in and take it from me. You're gonna cause pain to me. If I just give it to you, then it's less pain. I don't have to fight. I won't have to worry. You won't do anything else to me because I'm just gonna surrender. That happens very often. And that, too, people don't talk about because then it still keeps them in a victim state. It puts not only are they the victim, but they're also the aggressor at that time. So they become a victim of a potential abuse, but because they flipped it, now they're the aggressor, and then they become a victim again because they're the aggressor trying to defend themselves, basically. Now they're a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Now they become something else that society has deemed them to be based on their perception of her actions, even though it's being done out of defense in her mind. So it's like she's victimized twice just to defend herself. That type of stuff is not talked about, but it right. Definitely occurs.
Right. And you know what? I think also, if it's somebody, an uncle, or father, or stepfather, or something like that, and they grew up hearing that person say, "I love you," but then molested them, when they get to the point where they're into intimate relationships, like they're giving their body away because, okay, this is how we show love. This is how I show love.
Exactly.
This is what love is, because this is the only kind of love that I really understand. You know what I'm saying? I think that when I was in my, I was a late bloomer, just emotionally, just everything, because of the trauma I think that I went through. I was a late bloomer. So I didn't really, I was what I call, quote unquote, a virgin for till I was damn near 20. I was on shutdown mode. But then when I started, it was just like I was promiscuous because I felt like, well, that must be the only thing that a man, that's the way he shows love. That must be what love is. Love must be sex. Sex is love. Love is,
right.
if I'm having sex, I guess that's love, because that's, you know what I'm saying? That's the only experience that I had when it came to love. So I didn't really even understand it. And so for a period of time, I was promiscuous until I had my first son, and then I ended up getting married, and of course my life changed. But I mean, that's deep. It's deep when these men meet women who are still that little girl. The one thing that Iyanla Vanzant kept saying, she was like, this. She said, you're looking at your grown daughter, but inside she's still a little girl. She's still the little girl that you left. She's still the little girl that was craving love and affection from her mother or whatever. She's still that little girl. She's still the little girl who got her innocence taken, and it was out of her control. That's who she still is.
Yep.
And I think sometimes men don't understand that, who haven't experienced that. But then on the flip side, think about the men who they have not started talking. They haven't really gotten to the point where they can talk about it. But there are a lot of men who are in the same situation. I think that some men who have became bisexual because someone, when they were young and they were still in that stage of trying to figure out who they were molested by a man. So, okay, so that must be normal. You know,
right.
This must be what I'm supposed to be. I'm attracted to women,
Absolutely.
but I've had this experience with a man at a young age, so maybe now I like both. Or maybe I don't know what I like.
And that's who they identify with. Absolutely. That's who they identify with. That is a male. That person looks like them, sounds like them, does the things that they do or should do. So it's like, if this is what you're doing, and you and I are alike, I identify with you, then I must be that too. That must be what's normal. That is what defines me, is that behavior, that mentality, whatever. And it's not even fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even have an opportunity to make a decision on what they think they want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's told to them indirectly what you're going to do. That's why they have so many, emotional conflicts, so many battles in their head. I mean, and this can go on to a whole different subject, so we're not going to do that. But that is like the main cause of it, internal conflict. That causes a lot of people to do drastic things to change or end their lives. Internal conflict, not being able to, decipher what they are or even have anybody to discuss it with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's really, really deep. I know that being in the nursing field, like R. Marie has been, and dealing with, a lot of patients, you hear so many different stories, or so many different situations, and
right.
I think the worst ones is when you go into a home of a child who is a foster child, and you find that they're a foster child because of molestation and abuse within their own home, and so they had to be removed. And you just and when I used to just look at some of those children, I'm like, it's just not fair. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just not fair that this little girl, or most of the time it was little girls, or whatever. I didn't run across too many little boys at that time, but this little girl, she hasn't even had a chance to understand what love is. What is it? The affection between a man and a woman. Like, you introduced this baby to something that it's just not fair. You've taken her innocence. Yeah. You've taken her innocence because of what? Because your own little sexual demons or whatever the hell is wrong with you. You've taken this baby's innocence. Like, it's sad,
Yeah, indeed. I also think that when we're actually discussing the generational curses, is people will not have that discussion if you're saying curses, because they don't want to be ostracized about that. That puts them in a whole different kind of category. You know what I'm saying? If you look at it as trauma's fixable, right? You just have to acknowledge it. There's a process to healing from trauma. But when you address it as it being a curse, then it's like it gets a little bit deeper in the mindset of people. They become the wicked witches, and I'm saying, God must hate them. That type of thing. And they, if they have that thought, it makes it more difficult for them to even want to seek help, to even want to be healed, because they're going to be ostracized for being cursed. You know what I'm saying? So it's just my thought that to address it more as a trauma than, a curse, may be a little bit more helpful for people to acknowledge, okay, well, this is something that I can heal from, because you can heal from a trauma. You just have to go through the process of doing so.
Yeah, I think originally when we were when we put generational curses, which you're right, curse is such a harsh term. However, when it goes down from generation to generation and generation and generation, you know what I'm saying? It was just a topic or a title. Mm-hmm. However, there's many other forms of generational hand-me-downs or traumas or whatever you want to call it, other than just molestation. It was just that was one that I know Patrick was like, is it really like as if he was surprised, like, is it really that big? You know, because I've talked to so many women and they all say that, like, is it really that? Is that something that's really happening like that? And I'm just like, yes. In fact, they didn't even really. I remember when I wrote my book, This Can Be Love. I wrote it at a time. I wrote that book. First wrote it, the manuscript, in 2004. Self-publishing was not all that hot. The social media, I don't even know if Facebook was even in existence then. And so the internet was still fairly brand new. It wasn't that old. And so people were not really coming out talking about their abuse. I remember the story, Flowers in the Attic. That's probably the first, and the Child Call Thing, or the first two books that I can remember that probably touched on childhood abuse. But it wasn't coming out the way that it is now, you know. In the 21st century, it's like women start standing up and say, listen, this happened to me. Listen, this happened to me. Listen, he did that to me. You know, he's the the head of the whole family. Everybody looks up to him, but really you don't understand he's been molesting the girls in the family for years. Like, that kind of stuff is just really just coming out. They weren't really talking about it. They weren't talking about it.
Indeed, because things are made taboo.
On the flip side, sometimes I feel bad because I know that in telling my story, it probably hurts some members of the family, you know, because you do still have those mindsets of, you know, what happens in the home stays in the home. So I know that telling my story, making the movie, all that stuff, that probably bothered, hurt, pissed off my family to a degree. But I had to share my truth. It was like my therapy. Like, I had to put pen to paper. I had to talk about it. Because I felt like if I share my story, somebody who knows somebody whose child is being abused, somebody gonna step up and say, you know what, we're not gonna let that child be abused. You know, we're gonna bring that child into a loving home or whatever. So my thing was, if I tell my story, maybe that'll help save another child's life. That's how I felt. But I know my family, it was hard for my family, and I feel, you know, it bothers me sometimes because I know certain ones might be like, why, you know, but I had to tell my truth.
Right. Also, Patricia, I would say you telling your story, one, I know it made you have to basically relive it, but because you were telling it, that put you in the control seat. That gave you the power. You were it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could take your story from you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It helped you heal.
The story had been pre-written. Right. That was your way of healing you because you are telling your story. You can get it out. The way you experience it is no longer being written for you. You were not put in somebody else's script. You were able to write your own. And, you know, having that ability is a way of healing. So I think it, again, just my thought, that helped you be able to release that energy that was still dormant in you, you know, by speaking it. That healed you. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, that helped to heal that energy that was still in you by letting it out. So it was twofold. It helped you and it helped those who got a chance to experience you in that way. So, you know, big ups and much respect on that, because that takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot to do that.
So I appreciate that too, Kim. I appreciate that. So our Marie and I grew up together. Like, we still argue about when we first became friends. I always say it's the 12th grade, because you can't just be seeing somebody in the hallway and saying that's your friend trying to talk.
Her locker was 4 doors down. I spoke to her every year. Her locker was only 4 doors
down.
That
don't mean we was friends because you spoke to me.
But I was so friendly to you. But we were in advanced English class, and she happened to get put in our group. And I'm like, cool, because she's pretty smart. She's quiet. You know, I have a thing for smart people. You know, I have a thing. It's just gaining knowledge, you know. So, and I needed all the smart people.
Can anybody hear me?
Everybody else hears me.
Hello.
I can hear you, Trisha. Can everybody else hear me?
My phone, or
yeah,
if that was the
let me.
It sounds like we're having an unscripted moment. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I don't think anybody
Trisha,
can hear
I'm
me.
thinking.
So we're gonna take a quick break for a second. Let me see if something happens to the phone line. We'll be right back, y'all. I want to move on to
back for the music. She did that.
Okay, I don't know if I just had an unscripted moment or what. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. Did y'all ever like?
Checking in.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but anyway, so, you know, unmove unscripted. Y'all know how.
I'm thinking it's your phone. I'm thinking it's your phone because everybody was hearing everybody, and we hear you clearly. But all we hear from you is, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay,
right.
But I'm going to put some music on. I said, there it is. There it is.
I couldn't clear. I had to call back in. It must have been my phone. That's why I need a new phone.
I had to call back in too, Patricia. I had to call back in too because it just cut off.
You couldn't hear anything? Okay.
No, I had to call back in. It cut off. It just hung up.
Okay. So that's what happened.
But we back.
Okay.
We back.
So finish what you were saying, Marie, because I'm sorry.
Okay, what was I saying? So rudely. I was
that you have a thing for smart people.
Yeah, so so Trisha and I did not become good friends. Okay, I won't say we were friends in 9th grade. What I will say is that I met her, I spoke to her, but I was cool. I spoke to everybody. I'm a happy-go-lucky type chick. But in 12th grade, when she was assigned to my group, but she was pretty quiet. That's when I finally was able to reach out and actually got to know Patricia. And she was just such an exciting person. She had such a wild imagination. We got an A. We got an A. Come to think of it with that big project. So we did, we did very well. And I'm like, wow, I wonder why she wasn't no friends. She kind of, it was one woman. It was one girl that you hung around. I cannot remember her name. But Evelyn. Evelyn. She was nice too. But Trish she was different. I wasn't aware of like very tight structured home. So it was interesting. I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, I didn't think it was cool, that to be in at such an early hour as you still get older. But I thought it was cool. She had a grandmother who wanted to make sure that nothing happened to her granddaughter. So in order to do that, she, had to be in early. So, but I was able to pull a good portion of the real Patricia out. Like, come on, girl. I mean, I know. What else do you do? What else you got? Well, come hang with me, because I love to go skating. I am a bona fide break dancer. I will accept anybody's challenge, So I had a blast.
Oh. She did. Marie did bring me out of my shell, and I really was, like what she said, very quiet, very to myself. I really didn't have a lot of friends. My personality right now is not the personality I had when I was younger, and Marie can attest to that. I really was not like that, and so she really was instrumental in pulling that out of me. You know what I'm saying? And I just clung to her like a big sister, and her family became my family, and I felt free, to a degree. But still, at that point, she didn't know, and nobody knew what I had gone through as a child. I don't believe did I ever tell you, Marie? I don't remember.
You know what? I think we may have been I think we were out of high school, but we were getting dressed to go out, and I'm like, girl, what happened to you? Because I saw something. And, I'm like,
you saw the scar on my leg. She saw the scar on my leg.
I did, but that was the very first time when you confessed your issue, and you didn't go into detail, but I was at a loss of words, because growing up, I didn't see it. I didn't know anything about it. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know that stuff went on in black families. And that's not even to say that it wasn't going on in my family, but if it was, I was never affected by it. None of my siblings, to my knowledge, has ever been affected, because I'm one of the oldest. So I was very overprotective over my brothers and sisters, and we were tight. We're still tight, but we're a very, very close-knit family. So, if somebody's messing with one, all of us know about it, and all of us is on it. But if one is going to do something or trying to have an event, we're all there. We're very supportive. So we were close. I wasn't even aware that black families went through that. And then as they start having the daytime talk shows, then I started seeing it, because it never crossed my mind that somebody would just intentionally, whether they had a mental issue or whether it was just a vicious issue, because a lot of it escalates about something that triggered. But I just did not know that black people went through that, because when they first start having talk shows, you see all these white people with problems, and I'm like, woo, glad I'm not white, and that come to find out that it was just everywhere, and I was clueless. I just knew that my grandmother worked for Franklin County Children's Services for 40 years, and there would be times when she would bring a couple kids to the house. I'm like, Mom, who is this? Oh, this is a good friend of mine's daughter. She's going to stay while her dad is out of town, because my grandmother, before she got the job at Franklin County Children's Services, she would do a little extra jobs, work part-time, and she worked for a doctor. She worked at a doctor's office, and then his wife I don't know if they got divorced or if she passed, but he had the two kids. He remarried so they could have a mother, but his new wife didn't like the kids, and she was very mean and abusive, because he did a lot of traveling for a doctor. And so, that oftentimes this little white boy and little white girl would come over, and I just, no one ever said anything. My grandmother never broke, HIPAA. back then, so she would never tell me what was going on. But I didn't know, because the little girl and I got really close growing up, and she never told me. She was just so happy she hated to leave. And when we rode with my grandmother one day, because her father was a doctor and they lived in Bexley, and I was just blown away, like, you like coming to our house? And you got this big old house, and you got this, and you got that. And I could understand why that young woman was unhappy. I had no idea, and then as I started watching different documentaries and stuff on, the real deal, it broke me. It was broken. Like, how do you hurt a child? How do you hurt somebody so innocent and snatch their innocence and just set them up to have such a horrible, horrific, non-trusting life around, just something that can completely change your course in life. I was completely obliviated to that. I didn't know anything about that until after I was an adult. I was probably like, when Patricia revealed things to me, we were out of high school. So I just couldn't believe it. I never told you, but I just went home and cried my eyes out, because I'm like, how is that? I couldn't breathe. It was like I could literally not breathe, because I had no idea that my friend that we had became so close did not have just a regular childhood. Like I didn't know other people didn't. I thought all children just had a great childhood because we were kids, and that's what you're supposed to have. So when I'm listening to the stories of my sisters and people that call in, it's like, wow, I was naive to a lot. I was kept away from a lot. I'm blessed that I didn't experience. I'm very thankful. I'm glad that I had a crazy father, and my family's kind of nutso, and a lot of people didn't want to mess. A lot of people wouldn't really go there, but I'm glad that I'm awake to it now. I'm glad that I'm in tune to what's going on in the world now. My blinders are off, and because I have grandchildren, it's vital that when you reach one, you teach one, you reach one. Teach one, you reach one. And so I'm always checking. I'm always asking. Now I know what to look out for. I know the signs. But it was difficult as an adult to grasp that type of world was existing when I had zero idea that it even existed.
Oh, when the scar that you're talking about, I remember telling you about. So the scar is my stepmother beat me with jumper cables, and she literally beat me to the point where I could not walk. Like, it was really, really bad, and it left a really bad scar that I still have today. So I used to be so embarrassed when I used to go swimming, and I have to put on a bathing suit, and everybody would always ask me, what happened to your leg? You know what I'm saying? And that would take me into, oh, my God, and I kept that bottled up in me for years, even though when it first happened and my grandmother got custody of me, she did take me to counseling. But the counselor didn't even believe me. When I was telling the counselor, and I talk about that in my book, and I also share scenes of it in the movie, because the childhood portion of the book and the movie really was my life. That was really what I went through when I was living with my stepmother at the time. My stepmother, probably before my grandmother got custody of me. But she didn't even believe me. Can you imagine a child who finally comes out to tell somebody, a professional, what has been happening, and because it's so horrific, the counselor says, you can't be making up stories. That's what she said.
Wow.
I still remember that. And I was 9. I was 9 years old. And so I still remember that. I still remember the look on her face. I still remember how she just, and the only reason why she didn't believe me is because one part of my story didn't make sense. I'm 9 years old, so I said spark plugs because I knew it had something to do with the car, but I didn't know that it was called jumper cables. So I'm trying to tell this woman my story, but I say spark plugs. And so because of that one little detail, that I think she didn't believe the whole story. She didn't believe
Wow. That's a mess.
So it was just like I kept that bottled up for many years. I did many, many years, and I told a select few here and there. But when I moved to Atlanta, it was just like it was so in me. You know what I'm saying? That it's like I got to talk about this to somebody. I got to tell somebody. I got to let people know this is going on. I got to help somebody. It was so in me that I had to release that story. And I had to tell my story. I had to talk about that pain. And you're right, that pain. And you're right, Kim. That was my therapy. That was my release. Mm-hmm. That was my, it wasn't until years later that when I met MBJ Live, and he asked me, "Are you over that?" And I don't know what I was doing or how I was reacting that would make him even ask me that. But then, after seeing, like I said, that movie The Shack, I just cried. I literally cried. But I know these things happen, things happen to my mother because I didn't grow up with my mother. And then my mother didn't grow up with her mother. And I don't know what happened to all the, the other part of my mother's line. So it's just like, I know, I don't want to say generational curses, but I know these things tend to be generational.
They become generational, like I was saying when we took a break. They become generationally passed because people hold on to the idea that you can't tell nobody. So because you don't tell, you don't get healed. There's no closure. That's where it becomes an actual curse because you don't close it. You hold on to the thought or the command, whatever, that you cannot tell anybody. So because you cannot tell out of your mouth, it becomes a repeated action. That energy passes, whether the words pass or not. So it has to be released out of your mind and out of your mouth so that it does not continue. Like I said, because we are taught that what happens in this house stays in this house, that's why the curses occur. Because I got to hold all of this and then act like it never happened. I got to live with this and act like it never happened. Then I'm going to have a baby, and I'm going to pass all of this. Now it's in my DNA now. Now it's in my genetics. I'm going to pass this down because it's traumatic. It done connected itself to my code now. So now I'm going to pass this down to my seed, and they're going to experience the same thing. They're going to experience my trauma that my mama had, that her mama had, that her mama had, and not even understand what it is. Even if they don't repeat it, they're going to experience the energy of that trauma and not understand where it came from. So they suffer from something that they haven't technically experienced. Physically, they haven't experienced the trauma, but they are reliving it because the curse continues. We have a responsibility to stop them by opening our mouths and confessing what has occurred to us so that it does not continue to our seed. We have a responsibility. And a lot of times, while people refuse to acknowledge the truth of what really happened, is because they are being held responsible now for not acknowledging it. What you're saying got to be a lie because I refuse to acknowledge that I failed you. This is why they tell you that you're lying, because there's accountability rejection. You cannot say that this happened right under my nose. You can't say this happened in my household. You can't say this happened by my husband to my daughter. You can't say this happened to me. Hell no. It's got to be your fault. You did something. So keep it to yourself, because you make me look bad. You make me look, you know what I'm saying? You make me look bad because it happened under my roof. This happened on my watch. I didn't know. You make me look like a fool because I'm supporting this individual, because I'm loving this individual, because I'm still doing what I've been doing with this individual or for this individual, not knowing that this person was hurting my baby. This individual was hurting somebody that I love, somebody else that I love, that couldn't defend themselves. You make me look like a fool, so no, I'm going to deny your truth. Your truth didn't happen because I cannot be made a fool. It's about the accountability.
The family,
and you know what?
Sometimes the family likes to protect that person. They like to protect the abuser. They don't want it to get. They like to protect it, but the problem is when you don't address it and you find you're trying to protect the abuser and maybe even you're just trying to keep it contained. That person who still has that issue, that child molesting issue, ain't gonna do nothing but go and destroy another child's life, or another child's life, or another child's life. Just like the story with Iyanla Vanzant, where the abuser abused the mom, but then went on years later and abused her daughter. Like, come on now. Like, how long are you going to ignore what you know that Uncle JoJo got an issue? So y'all need to address that. You put his ass in jail or do whatever you got to do, because if you don't, Uncle JoJo's going to continue to do it to every child, because he got a problem.
Right. Absolutely. But do you know how far back you got to dig? See, it doesn't begin with Uncle Joe. It began with whoever came before Uncle Joe, and then whoever came before that. You're saying there's a lot. It's generational. You got to dig up, and we don't want to. And I hate to say it, but our people have a real bad habit of being, what's the bird that keeps his face in the sand and his ass up? What is that bird? They always talk about that buries his face. It's a big bird. What is it? An ostrich? Is it the ostrich that buries his face but his ass is exposed?
I think it's an ostrich.
Or the one with the long beak that bends down.
Yeah, but they bury their face. They bury their face because they think they hide, but their ass is out.
Okay,
so we do the same thing. We do the same thing. If we don't see it, if we act like we don't see it, if we act like we don't hear it, we just don't acknowledge it, then it didn't happen. That's what we do. We don't want to acknowledge that it happened because it digs up too much truth, and we ain't ready to deal with truth because we're not exposed to truth. We're not conditioned to accept truth as truth. Tell us a lie. We got that. We good on that. We can receive the lie. We're conditioned to accept lies. That sounds right. That's normal.
Another generational thing is addiction, alcohol or weed. For some reason, people don't see that it's possible to be addicted to weed. If you got to smoke 5-6 blunts back to back every day, you got to wake up with a blunt. You got to smoke 3 or 4 before you can even go to work. You got to have about 3 or 4 when you're on the way home, and you got to have another one before you go. That's an addiction. We don't see.
I would say so. But some people are hiding. That's how they get away from their reality as well. It's it's pain. It's a pain reliever.
Yeah.
And that could be the case too. And some people just addicted.
Yeah. But even that becomes a decision.
If you talk to some people who have alcoholics, if you talk to some people who have alcoholics in their family, you'll see that too is a pattern that goes way back. Grandpa was an alcoholic. Great grandpa.
Absolutely.
Daddy was a crackhead. Daddy was a crackhead. You just like, it's generational, definitely.
The spirit of divorce can be generational. The spirit of divorce. I knew a pastor. Him and his wife moved into this beautiful home, and he said they had to go because he sensed the spirit of divorce there. So they left. I was like, wow.
For real?
And some of them could be. Huh?
I mean, because if they have some people, I've seen people that have had their pastors come out to their new home or new apartment and bless the house. Now, I don't know if I would have given up my home, because if my faith is strong with God, then I can't go by those spirits. I have to believe if God is able, then he's able to do anything. I'm not giving up my house. And that's kind of weird to me.
Right. But see, it depends on what God instructs you to do. Well, we never know what God instructs us to do. God may, because it may look like, well, why did they do that? And I'm not saying that was the case because he really didn't go into it. But sometimes God asks us to go and move. for
sometimes
what,
God
you know,
tells us don't do
something
it in the gate. Sometimes God tells us don't go there, don't do that, don't get that. Don't
period.
Do this, that,
period.
We feel this way.
Right. Right. I mean, it's just all, you know, it just depends on what God tells us. But yeah, you can break things from your home.
We cannot escape the fact that, you know, we keep talking about, you know, all these things that are generational. They stop becoming that when people make a decision to stop repeating it.
I agree.
I don't know why this goes out. Hello?
Agree.
Yeah, you have to make a decision to stop repeating it.
Start that again. We hear you.
Yeah, it's going out. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, we hear.
We hear.
We can hear you. Somebody text her and tell her we can hear.
I hear you.
Okay.
We hear you.
But like I was saying, Kim, I agree with Kim. Patricia and I have a friend, and our friend and her and her husband are doing awesome now. But throughout the years, at least a good 10, 15 years into their marriage and relationship, he was kind of horrible. And, you know, and she was like, oh, you know, I'm afraid, you know, he's not going nowhere. And, you know, she was like, hey, my family, we just don't get divorced. We stick through it, and we get through the storm. And she stuck through it, and she got through the storm. And I have another friend whose mom treated her so horrible, and she, you know, told me, we were like 13. She said, you know, Marie, when I grow up, I'm not going to have this type of life. My children are going to have a decent life, the life that you see on television, that where, you know, it's a decent family with decent things and just the common basic needs like hanging curtains instead of a sheet over my window. I mean, and she did, you know, and I feel like if you want to change something, then if you know that the route that you've seen your family going and things that you've seen and you want to change that, then if you put it in your mind and determination, then you can change it. But a lot of times people are used to the same old thing. They're used to it. It's common. It's just common.
Yep.
And to them,
they get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. And with that, you know, when you have to change something, you are being held accountable for that. You're held accountable for the outcome of it. And people are afraid to change and be held accountable because what happens if they fail? What happens if they go wrong? They get blamed for that. They don't want it. So they just rather just take it as it is, just keep repeating the patterns, just keep it in the family, keep it in the house or whatever, say nothing, do nothing, and just hope and pray, Lord Jesus will come save us from our shit. No, it don't happen like that. You got to do something. You have to do something. So for those that are, and I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not being dogmatic when I say this, but for those people who are or who have experienced these types of trauma and now have children or children's children, whatever the case, and you've said nothing, you are doing them a disservice by being quiet. And not just them. Anybody they come into a relationship with, you're doing a disservice. You cheating them. You owe it to them to speak your truth and release the trauma from your own self. You owe that. What we go through is not for us to just hold on to. What we go through is not for us to just hold on to it. It's to experience it, learn from it, release it. Teach how you came from that. Give the lessons on that. What happened? How did you get out of that? In the event this thing shows up for somebody else, now they know what to do. It's a lot of things that I didn't teach my children because I didn't know. I feel bad as hell. I try to do it now, but they grown as hell. But a lot of things I did not know to teach them. So when I'm looking at certain things that they do, I'm like, shit, that's fucked up. But I didn't tell them nothing else because I didn't know to tell them that. Or because I was scarred, somewhere in my childhood, whatever the case is, whatever it is. I had a responsibility once I knew what it was, once I could figure out how to correct it from that moment, to now say, okay, well, I didn't know then, I know now, do this or don't do this. And when you have children, teach them that. This is how you overcome that. But silence is what's taking us out. Not saying nothing is what's taking us out. This is how we keep repeating.
In that show, and Yana, I don't never pronounce her name, Yana Van Zandt. In that show, the mother had never told her daughters anything. Mm-hmm. They didn't know that she used to. The ones that were younger, the oldest daughter knew. You know, the oldest one usually, if there whatever the mother goes through, the oldest child usually gets the blunt of it. You know what I'm saying? So the oldest daughter knew some things, but the other daughters never knew she had a drug addiction. They never knew about, you know, the issues with the molestation and all that kind of stuff because she never told them. So they were sitting there crying on TV because their mother had never told them what she went through. They the children judged the mother for all the jacked up stuff she did or didn't do and all that kind of stuff, but they didn't even understand that the mother was still broken. So the mother was still battling her own demons from childhood. The mother was still seven. You know what I'm saying? As far as not being able to, she's holding all that in. And when she asked her, like, why did you not tell your daughters? She said, well, I just didn't feel like it was something they need to know. But then they're crying like, why would you think that we don't need to know that? And then the one daughter, oh, my God, the daughter that was adopted just broke my heart because she was just like, you know, I just wish. She said, why would you give me to that family? Why? She said, I wish that you had just had an abortion with me instead of giving me up and giving me to a pack of wolves. And I just, she was just, the daughter was just crying. And the mother, you know, everybody can look at the mother and say, oh, you bad mother. But the mother was broken. And so then even understanding why did the mother not grow up with her mother. So then somewhere along the line, there was something broken in there. And then why did the grandmother not grow up with her mother? So there's some broken in something, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
and
when, you know, a lot of people hold grudges. And a lot of people hold grudges. They hold anger. They hold hatred towards their parents, their mother, their father, because of things they went through when they were growing up. But they don't. But you got to take a step out of your own self and look at your parents and see what made them like that. What did they go through? Right. Why are they not? Exactly. Why is it that dad has never been able to say I love you? Why is that? Is it because his father never told him? Because he never heard it? So if he's never heard nobody say I love you, then how is he going to be able to tell his daughter or even his wife or any?
Never occurred to me.
I don't know. Okay.
Did everybody go out or was it just me?
Yeah, it never just occurred to me that it was something escalating from him through childhood, you know, and it was then when I had to open up my horizons and just see people individually. So.
Yeah, that's deep. So I've been real good, y'all, except for that one little jump in there because of you know, the issue with the phones. I ain't played no music. So we can we take a quick break? Can I play a couple songs, 2 songs, song and a half?
Sure. 2 whole songs? 2 whole songs?
Song and a half or something like that. We'll be right back, y'all. On the Move Unscripted.
Since way back up in the day. It's always been the plan to domesticate a slave, either in the house or the field, still the same. Devised by the man who perpetuated hate to necessitate a fate. An elaborate plan, they used and infused it to scour our lands. Took the power from the chiefs and the queens at hand. Rummaged all the villas. If you wasn't some Manila, you ain't even stand a chance. Nowhere to escape. A lot of people died trying to find another way. Queens in tears, kings watching them get raped. Burners at the stake to acquire some estate for the heads of the state. It was pray or obey or get beat with no delay. A sequel if you didn't, no repentance from the Jake. Still the message of the day never really went away. To this day, man, they still got us out here looking for our tell the truth, we ain't come off no boats. You came into the land and killed off most folks. Indoctrinated slaves to believe in Jesus, to justify the reasons the masters beat us. The banks built homes on land that's all ours, covered up the taxes and credit upcharge. Destroyed Black Wall Street because we bounced back. The system ain't shit. Slavery today still the same, it exists. Economic woes and the government helps, but it never does assist. Poverty is likely when you're stuck up in the trench, trying to keep us paying rent and never own a home. Since the pride gone, nothing had to call our own. Inequality in pay makes it hard to get along. Disparity's too much for me and you to get along. I mean, Mr. White Man, you ask me why am I upset? Why am I always so angry? Well, Mr. White Man, how would you feel if that was your perspective on life? How would you feel if it was your people that was beaten, killed, and those that survive oppressed for the rest of their days? Affliction on your children to this very day. Getting killed by police more than any other race. Getting discriminated against in employment. Discriminated against because of your name. Mr. White Man, can you tell me, would you not be angry? I mean, all lives matter, right?
How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history?